Hey there, welcome back to Tim Talks Cooking. Today we are talking Keto Instant Pot Roast with gravy. That's right, Keto Instant Pot Roast, my friends, with gravy. You're going to love this recipe. Let's get started. Here's what you'll need to make this really delicious pot roast. Starts off with a pot roast, of course. This is 2 3/4 pounds of rump roast. We also need some vegetables to flavor the sauce so that we can make a delicious gravy. I've got one nice big onion that I've cut into big dice here. I've left the peel on, but I've cut off the ends just to get rid of any possibility of there being dirt or grit in them. One carrot that I've scrubbed clean and cut into a dice. A couple of ribs of celery. A partial head of garlic here that I sliced in half. 2 shallots I also cut into a big dice. A nice fresh tomato I sliced in half. We're also going to use 2 tablespoons of tomato paste as well. You're also going to want a 1.5 cups of some kind of broth. This is vegetable broth, but if you have beef bone broth, that'd be really good. Also, a 1/2 cup of red wine, something that you like to drink, not cooking wine. Get real wine that you enjoy. It'll be delicious to flavor everything here. Also, a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce and a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Teaspoon of smoked paprika and a tablespoon of Italian seasonings. Kosher salt, freshly ground black pepper, and some oil for sauteing. However you're going to cook this cut of beef, it's always a good idea to brown it really well. I've got some extra virgin olive oil in my Instant Pot insert here. Now, got it heated up nicely. You can hear it sizzle. I'm going to brown my roast on each side before I put in the vegetables and the rest of this stuff here. We're just going to go ahead and let this brown. It's going to take probably 5-10 minutes altogether. While we're searing it, we want to season it generously with kosher salt and freshly ground black pepper. Now that we've got it nicely browned, we're going to remove it to a clean plate and set it aside. Next, notice we've got all of these lovely brown bits on the bottom. We want those there. We're going to add in all of the vegetables now. Just going to dump them right on in there. Give it a nice stir. They're going to start releasing some of their juices, and that's going to help us deglaze the pan here. But we just want to get a little bit of heat on all of that. I'm also going to add in here the tomato paste. About 3 minutes in, this smells incredible already. Let's add some seasonings. I've got my Italian seasoning and paprika here. I've also added some kosher salt and freshly ground black pepper to that. We want everything to be properly seasoned. Just going to stir that in. And we can add in the rest of our ingredients now. Use the wine here. Give that just a moment. Oh, that smell, really, that's really a beautiful little red wine from Argentina. Add in our Worcestershire sauce and Dijon mustard. And our vegetable broth, or whatever broth you're using, of course. Okay, as you can see, I've returned the pot roast to the mix here. Starting to bubble, actually, along the edges. I've got it set on the meat and stew setting for 55 minutes. That's actually 20 minutes a pound. This is 2 3/4 pounds. I'm going to make sure we've got our pressure valve set to sealing, and now all we have to do is wait. My timer is just going off now after 55 minutes, and now I'm going to turn the Instant Pot off, and we're going to wait for the pressure to lower for 15 minutes. We're going to release the rest of the pressure. It's going to hiss for a little while there. And when it gets done, we're going to open the lid. Pressure's returned to normal, and now let's have a look. And there we have it. Isn't that gorgeous? First, the pot roast I'm going to remove to a foil-lined plate, like this. and I'm going to wrap it up so it can rest until I'm ready to serve it. At least 15 or 20 minutes. Next, I'm going to strain the stock left over from the cooking process. You can see it's quite a bit here. We're not going to eat these vegetables. We're actually going to just strain them and turn the stock into a delicious gravy. And here's what we end up with, about 4 cups of stock left over from our pot roast. Now, you'll notice here that there's a pretty thick layer of fat on top. Fat always rises to the top. Anyway, we could either refrigerate this for, oh, I don't know, 4 to 6 hours, and it'll solidify. We can just simply lift it right off the top. Or we can use a device called a fat separator, like this one. Notice it has a rubber plug in the end. Put that plug in there and it keeps the fat from going up into the spout. We're just going to simply pour in our stock. And wait for a few minutes for the fat to rise to the top, and then we can pour it out without getting the fat into what we end up cooking. You could, of course, leave the fat in if you like. I just don't like it. I think it has kind of a greasy taste, so we're going to eliminate that. I've washed and dried my insert here, and now I'm going to add my beef stock. To this, in order to make a gravy, I'm going to add 8 ounces of softened cream cheese in pieces. Here, I'm using the meat and stew setting again, so I get the highest heat, and I'm going to just stir this until the cream cheese has dissolved and has begun to thicken this stock. Now that my cheese is all melted, I'm going to add in about a cup of heavy whipping cream and just whisk that in. Next, we're going to want to add in a 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Just sprinkle it all over and whisk it in. While you're waiting for it to thicken up, you might want to check the seasoning level. Just give it a taste. That's really good. But you might want to add a little salt or pepper if yours needs it. Lower the heat if necessary if it starts to boil. I just did that here. You want to continue to stir gently while it continues to heat. And here's our gravy in the end. You can see it's a lovely creamy consistency. It really tastes marvelous. I think we need to cut a slice of that roast and see how it tastes with that. And here's our roast. Let's slice into it and see how it is. It's nice and soft, I can tell you. Look at that. Nice, perfectly done. Seems very tender. I think it's time to give that a taste. I put some gravy on this. I have a feeling this is going to be pretty good. It smells fantastic. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you're going to like this. The meat is just melt in your mouth. It's just delicious, very juicy. And that gravy is so creamy and delicious, has a little bit of a tang from the cream cheese, but it's very beefy. Man, it's just perfect. I love it. Listen, thanks so much for watching us here today at Tim Talks Cooking. Before you go, don't forget to like, share, comment, and especially subscribe. Oh, please subscribe to my channel. It helps my channel grow, and it helps you locate my videos, especially if you click on the notifications bell. You'll be notified every time I upload videos, which is usually a couple of times a week. We'll catch you next time at Tim Talks Cooking.